Today I'm going to show you how to do seated calf raises without machines or weights so that you can do them no matter where you are. And we will be getting the same pump as you would in the gym. All right, let's walk you through how to set up these seated calf raises. So it's going to be a lot like what you're used to doing in the gym where you have the seated calf raise machine, except we are going to be using heavy 41-inch resistance band. So this is a 2.5-inch wide band. I want you to use something heavy, so typically like around your body weight or greater for this exercise because it's a short range of motion and we want to get a lot of resistance at the bottom, pulling your calves, the ankles into flexion, and then also you want a lot of resistance as we go all the way up into that full extension, but it's only a few inches of difference, so you need a heavy band to get that done. And the other stuff that you're gonna need is a bench, something to sit on, obviously, because we're doing seated calf raises. And then the other critical component is the Clench Fitness foot plate. So we designed this foot plate to work excellent with 41-inch bands. You can do tons of exercises on it, and this seated calf raise is just one of them. So what we're gonna do is place our 41-inch band into one of the short channels, and we're gonna make this short channel as close to our feet as possible. So we'll wrap it into the short channel, set this baby down, and then to position the board relative to your seated position, you're going to want this band or this board to land basically right on the balls of your feet is where the band should run, and then your heels are gonna hang off the back side so that when we go down into our ankle flexion position, you can get a little bit more flexion by driving those heels more towards the ground. And then on the other end of the board, I like to put a counterweight, just something to hold it down because we're gonna be putting tension here, and sometimes that board likes to kind of go up and down, so this just keeps everything nice and firmly pinned to the ground. Last thing you're gonna need is a bar or a rod. Right here, it's just something simple, but you want it to be rigid. Something that can take a few 100 pounds of resistance and you can trust it and not having to worry about it snap or break while you're doing reps. And then the last piece here, I like to use a pad or some kind of a cushion because we're gonna have all this weight resting right on top of our quads and it's gonna be pulling straight down. So you want something cushioned here so that your quads aren't just screaming at you while you're doing this rep or these exercises. To hook into this, all you do is loop one end of the band on each side of the bar, and then make sure everything is in a nice even position. I kind of rock it back and forth. The channels allow the band to slide freely and get it nice and even on both sides. And then all we have to do is stand up, do a little bit of a row to pull this baby up onto our quads, and then we scoot our feet back and make sure you keep your hands on this bar because it's going to want to walk forward. And if you let it walk too far forward, it's going to go right over your knees and slap into the floor, which we don't want. So make sure you're in a good position here. Like I said before, balls of your feet should be lined up with the band, and then we want our heels kind of hanging off the back so that we can go down into full ankle flexion here, and then driving through with our toes and driving our heels up into the air as far as we can to get full ankle extension here. Big squeeze at the top, and then let it down nice and slow, and it's that simple. Like nice and slow and controlled reps here. And you can see the range of motion is nice and short, so we want to make sure we have adequate resistance throughout the rep range. Okay, before we move to the next exercise, I want to share with you 3 tips from my experience on how to grow bigger calves. If you're struggling to grow bigger calves, or you just feel like you've been at a plateau or you're stuck, hopefully these 3 tips should help you get beyond that and grow those calves. Tip number 1, resistance. Your calves are a part of your legs, and your legs are used to carrying your entire body weight around all day long. So in order to grow beyond what you already have, you need to load up your calves with more resistance than what they're already used to. So that means upping that weight, getting beyond your body weight, and progressing and increasing that resistance as you grow. Tip number 2 is time under tension. Now there's 2 components of that, time and tension. And if we increase both of them, they will increase the hypertrophy of the muscle and therefore increase the growth of the muscle. So the first one is time. I like to do at least 10 to 15, sometimes even up to 20 reps per set for calves. And I keep it slow and controlled. So you when you're going through the eccentric or letting it down portion of the rep, you should have a few seconds on that. And then at the bottom, maybe a slight pause. And then at the top, you also want another slight pause. So keeping everything nice and controlled. I don't want you bouncing off the floor or just banging these reps out. You want to increase that time. And then the second component is obviously tension, which we talked about before. The higher the load that we can place on the calves while you're doing slow and controlled reps of a good tempo, those two things together are what's going to drive calf growth. Number 3 is range of motion. So it's important to get full range of motion for the majority of the reps that you're doing in your sets, which means you want to get full flexion where your heels are all the way down and your ankles are fully flexed, and then driving all the way through to full extension where you're up on your tiptoes and your ankles are fully extended. But as we go through our working sets, you'll notice that it's going to be very difficult to get full extension on every single rep. Full flexion is easy because the weight just pulls you down into that position. But you'll notice that it's going to be very hard to get full extension at the top. What I like to do is, I know that I still have something at the tank towards the bottom of the reps, but I can't get full extension. So I'll do like 3/4 reps or half reps on my very top set after I've fully exhausted the full range of motion reps. I'll do a few more of 3/4 reps and half reps to really burn them out and make sure there's nothing left in the tank. All right, second seated calf raise variation. We are going to be using a single 41-inch band. This time it's going to be a single leg exercise. So you're going to step into this band, hook it around the small of your back, sit down, and then you're going to hook this band right around the ball of your foot. And make sure you're using a hard-soled shoe here so that the shoe doesn't flex and move around on you. And then it might take a little bit of experimentation to get this in the right spot so that everything is nice and even, but you'll get there. It just takes a few reps. And then we're going to straighten our leg. The key here is to keep a straight leg. We don't want to be bending at our knees while we're doing this because it's going to take away from the calf engagement. But it's the same thing as before. We're just letting the band pull us into full flexion of our ankle joint. And then we're just going to push against this band and squeeze it out to full extension. And then let it back down nice and slow and just pound out the reps. And now you can see here, my foot kind of wants to move left to right. So this exercise, I like this one because it helps to work on the ankle mobility and stability. So I have to fight. This band is going to be wanting to pull my ankle into all sorts of different positions. So I have to fight to keep it nice and straight and square while I'm doing this rep. And also you may want to, like, I'm holding the band just like this to kind of put even tension on it to kind of help keep that ankle in the center. But this is something that is really good for that ankle joint and helping to build ankle stability. All right, I hope you liked those two variations of seated calf raises with bands. If you want more calf exercises using bands or more exercises in general, click on the on-screen links. We have an entire channel full of band exercises. If you liked what you saw today, be sure to smash that like button. And we post new videos every week, so be sure to hit that subscribe button to get notified every time that we post new content. If you need any of the equipment, resistance bands, accessories shown here in the video today, all you need to do is go over to clenchfitness.com and we'll hook you up. And thank you for watching.